Google just launched Gemini 3 Pro, but also launched an AI coding tool that could kill Cursor. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what Google Antigravity is, whether you should be switching from Cursor to Antigravity, and how good Gemini 3 Pro is at AI coding tasks. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years, I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design. And with that said, let's get straight into Google Antigravity and see what it can build.
Build great products. Build great products.
So before we get stuck into building our apps with one prompt, I want to give you just a first look at Antigravity and what it looks like as an AI coding tool. And on the surface, it kind of just looks like a bit of a VS Code fork, and it's just very similar to Cursor. You have this AI chat on the right-hand side, which has got planning and fast mode, which is slightly different to the plan, ask, and agent mode that is in Cursor, but effectively, they're kind of similar things here. You've got access to Gemini 3 Pro High, which is the high reasoning model for Gemini 3 Pro, which you can access inside Antigravity. And you also have a bunch of other like familiar stuff here for VS Code users, like all your extensions, everything on the left-hand side. And we're going to have to open a folder to start, or we can open this other section of Antigravity, which is super interesting, which is the agent manager. And the reason why the agent manager is interesting is because this is the vision for this product. This is the vision that the Google team have for Antigravity, and from the Windsurf employees who moved over to Google to work on this product. And a lot of the DNA, if I'm honest, with this product is coming from Windsurf. There's also a bunch of Easter eggs that other people have found that have done videos on this where they've seen actual Windsurf code behind the scenes here, which I'm not surprised about. I mean, it makes complete sense, and it has meant that they've been able to get this product out the door pretty damn quick. But the reason why Agent Manager here is important is because this changes the kind of mindset, the psychology of how we approach writing code with AI. And this is more like an agent manager kind of view, as it's called agent manager, but basically we're kind of the manager and we manage all of the agents here, which is a super interesting vision. Because not only can we allow multiple agents to be coding at the same time here, we can also be managing multiple workspaces on multiple projects. So I can have coding agents running in different app projects, different software projects that I'm working in at any given time. Now, it is a bit funny because you don't have access to Git work trees inside of Antigravity, which is a bit weird considering that you can't work in multiple work trees in a single project. But what you can do is you can parallel agents between multiple workspaces, but I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm not a developer. I am a non-technical person using these AI coding tools. And so what I want to show you here is I'm going to get 3 different agents creating 3 different apps just from one prompt. And we're going to see how well these actually do. And this might actually give away the quality of my prompts as being not as good as they could be. But what we're going to do is we're going to be going from my own idea database, which is ReadyToBuild.app. If you haven't checked out ReadyToBuild.app, I highly recommend going over there. It's basically like Idea Browser, but a cheaper version with less data. And I scrape X every single week for validated app ideas that you can start building straight away, and you just get one prompt to put into any coding tool to start building your app. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick 3 different app ideas from ReadyToBuild.app, and we're going to put them into Antigravity, get Gemini 3 Pro High to start building these apps for us, and then we're going to test each of the apps to see how well it did, how well the prompt performed, and also whether the app is kind of functional or whether it kind of works. Now, it might do some planning here to kind of assume some of the tech stack. And what you might want to do on top of this is to actually define the tech stack for each idea that you build. I'm going to filter this by web so that we're just building web apps for now to make this easier. One thing I want to do, the first one I want to try is this trivia quiz platform. So basically topic-based quizzes that are generated by AI has potential to hit 125k plus per month, apparently. Validated using Grok on X on just a couple of days ago. Create a web platform for topic-based quizzes with user-generated quizzes, leaderboards, and difficulty modes. Include quiz creation, player profiles, achievements, etc. And we can just copy this prompt by clicking Start Building. Let's go back to Antigravity, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open 3 different workspaces here. So let's open a workspace, open a new workspace, and then we get this workspace on the left-hand side in our agent manager in Antigravity. And we can just click plus here to start a new conversation in this workspace. Basically, to start a new agent running in this workspace, one thing that you can do as well here, which is super interesting, is to use the playground to kind of prototype or create ideas for things before you actually move it to a workspace. So if you want to try out a new idea, you want to try a new app, you want to test a prompt, the playground is a really great place to do that. There is still a bunch of bugs and stuff with Antigravity that aren't quite working. There's a lot of things to fix here. They rushed it out very quickly, but let's paste in this prompt in this Gemini 3 quiz app workspace here. So create a web platform for topic-based quizzes with user-generated quizzes, user-generated with AI let's say user-generated AI quizzes, leaderboards, difficulty modes, include quiz creation, so pages, homepage categories, quiz player, create quiz, leaderboard, membership, paywall, profile, admin. We're using Gemini 3 Pro. We're setting this to plan mode to start off with. Let's set this one running, and then we're going to create a new workspace here. So let's open a new workspace. Let's jump back over to our ideas right here and see what other ideas we can build. So I actually saw an idea on here the other day that I really want to try building, and I think it might be a mobile app, but I'm actually going to build the web version of this, and that is this micro thrift lister. So basically a pinboard style app for selling unused local items with AI pricing suggestions. So you take a picture quickly, upload it to this marketplace. It gives you a pricing suggestion, and then you can then sell it on the marketplace. So let's copy this prompt here. And I also added confetti to this website because I just thought, why not? Everybody loves a bit of confetti. So let's say thrift app. So let's create this new workspace here. So we've already got, so Gemini 3 Pro High is already asking us something in this quiz app here, and it's generated an implementation plan. Let's go to this thrift app workspace here, paste in this prompt. So it says create a web app for quick local listings, snap a photo, get AI generated title, description, price, and publish instantly to a pinboard feed, include chat, category tags, etc. Design colorful, friendly, Pinterest style grid layout with large item photos. Let's send this off to Gemini 3 Pro as well. One of the great things, or like one of the ways that I constructed the prompts on ReadyToBuild to start building it, is basically to include all of these kind of key parts of your first prompt, which is context for what you're building, some idea of the user journey or what pages need to be created, and then some design direction as well. So all of these have a bit of design direction in here as well. And you can even use these prompts as just a starting point for building an app as well. So just put it into whatever tool you're using, add more detail, or put it into an LLM and work with your LLM to add more detail to it, add a tech stack, add more features if you want to. You can do it that way. Now, for now, let's find another app idea to build here. So let's just scroll. I'm going to go all the way down this list because there's over 100 different ideas on here. I'm actually going to go with Personal Stylist AI. Create an app that catalogs user wardrobe and generates daily outfit recommendations, maybe. What about an AI content writer? Create an app that drafts content and assists rewrites in different tones. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. I think this will be really interesting. Design the direction, distraction-free writing space with collapsible side panels. It'd be super interesting to see how well it does on this idea. So let's go back to Antigravity. You can also see here that there's notifications on this inbox icon in the top left. And I'm not sure how I feel about this, but basically the idea that they're going for here is that your agents are sending you messages to your inbox for you to check things when you need to. So each of these kind of blue things in all of these chats, so this one and this one here are my 2 messages. If I go to my inbox, I can see those here and I can say proceed or open that to see what it's doing. So I don't even have to really look at anything that the agent is doing. If I don't want to, I can just say proceed from the inbox. For now, let's open up our final workspace here. Let's call this Gemini 3 writing app, and we're just going to paste this prompt in. I'm just going to send this off again to Gemini 3 Pro High, and then let's go through all of our apps that we're creating here and review these plans. So for the quiz implementation plan here, we've got create a comprehensive web platform for topic-based quizzes, technology stack, Next.js, CSS, data storage. For this initial version will be mocked in local storage. That's absolutely fine. You might want to add a database to this later, or other kind of pieces here like authentication for users to log in and log out, but we just want to prototype this to see what it's going to look like to start off with. It's giving us pages and features, core components, global CSS file, so it's not even using Tailwind here, it's just using basic CSS. We could ask it to use Tailwind, but I just want to see what it comes back with this initial implementation plan. I'm not going to make any changes, I'm just going to click proceed on these. So let's proceed with that just to see what the kind of basic output of Gemini 3 Pro is inside of Antigravity. And we've got an implementation here for the local listings web app as well. So tech stack, Vite plus React for the framework and vanilla CSS. AI features will be mocked for this front end unless you provide an API key for a real LLM service. So let's provide an API key for this. This will be a client-side prototype with mock data. That's absolutely fine. So these are all just doing mock kind of like prototype front end stuff at the moment, just to see what this looks like. I feel like that's going to be the starting point for a lot of stuff built with Gemini 3 Pro in here in planning mode if you just use a prompt like this. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for people building apps with AI. It's called the AI App Builders Academy. Inside, you'll learn how to plan, build, launch, and grow a profitable app with AI in just 21 days. And you'll also get access to more advanced courses like how to build with Claude Code, how to build mobile apps, how to build AI agents, and more, with new lessons being released every single week. On top of that, you'll also get over $3 million worth of AI deals so that you can start building at zero cost, and also access to our weekly Q&A sessions where you can get unstuck on your app building journey. And if you sign up to our VIP annual plan, which is offered at a 60% discount, you'll also get access to monthly group coaching and workshops, as well as our community demo day, where you can pitch your app idea to me and other VIP founders to get business and strategic advice on your app. This community is full of people building real applications with AI and getting real paying customers, and this is the lowest price that it's ever going to be because we increase the price for every 50 members that join the community. And so if you want to lock in your price and start building your app business today, then just head over to school.com/AI apps to find out more. I'll see you there. So let's click proceed with this one, and then let's go to the writing app and see what's going on here. So this is taking a slightly different approach. So this is still using Gemini 3 Pro High. This maybe is based on the prompt that is put in. It's thought for 8 seconds, and it's kind of decided that I've confirmed the directory is empty. Now creating the implementation plan to outline the React plus Vite structure. Here's the implementation plan. It didn't ask us if we were okay to proceed in this instance, which I think is interesting because it's done that slightly differently based on the two projects. So it's not consistently asking here. It's just decided, you know what, I'm going to proceed with this implementation plan. The project setup is doing a bunch of background stuff, progress updates. This is like, we've got a button here in line in this kind of progress updates that we can do. I'm going to send that. This is allowing it to do a terminal command behind the scenes. Again, like if you don't know about that stuff, you don't actually need to know about the stuff. And although it's helpful to understand the fundamentals of coding, I think where we're going to more and more with these apps is basically being a manager of agents that are coding and creating stuff for you, and then the code quality being high enough that we can just use natural language to go back and forth to kind of fix any issues that might come up. And what's great about Agent Manager and the agents inside Antigravity as well is that they can actually do browser-based testing. You can see this Chrome icon in the top right here. So the agent inside of Antigravity can go into the browser, do the testing for you. This is not a paid video, by the way. I just want to cover Antigravity because there's going to be a lot of noise and attention about it at the moment. But it can go into the browser and test all of these things for you. It can go through and use your app. You can see it doing that. You have to set up an extension for Chrome for it to do that. Let's just accept these commands in each of these different things. So I'm basically going between each of these agents now, saying agent terminated due to error. Okay, so this is an issue with Gemini 3 at the moment, is that this is just terminating for some reason. I'm not sure why. You can prompt the model to try again or start a new conversation. Let's just say try again, and if it doesn't work, we'll just start a new conversation. Try again. It might just terminate here, which does kind of show the bugs of Antigravity at the moment. Let's go into this quiz platform development. Let's accept that. We can basically just kind of do this all from our inbox. So let's just do it from the inbox. So let's see what's going on here. Let's send this one. I'm just looking at my inbox now, waiting for messages to come in. So it says, I've drafted a plan for your local listings app using Vite plus React. It's changing very quickly. These things are all being blocked for some reason. Let's see what's going on. I would say like some of the UX is a little bit confusing at the moment with the inbox, because it should almost like, before just like sending something to me like this, it should actually kind of ask me, it just should show that it's thinking. Like I'm just clicking this and it's jumping around like crazy. Like maybe there should be like some sort of loading or thinking state here before I actually have to do something. Or if these are all continuous actions, then they're just happening very quickly. I'm just clicking proceed from these for now because I want to just see what the basic kind of output of these is. Pending comments. I'm not sure what's going on in this chat here. Okay, so the writing app is writing code in our project. And if we go back to the Antigravity view here, what we can do is open any of these app projects. So I'm just going to open this writing app project, and you can see here that we've got all of the code on the left-hand side. We've got our writing app task list, which is going through all of these. You can see it kind of working through as it's working. You've got the implementation plan, and we can kind of work on this code as you would in a normal IDE, basically, going between this and your agent manager. So let's open the agent manager back up again and see what we've got going on here. So this one's running along, agent terminated due to error. So let's do a new agent chat here for this quiz app, and let's just start again, and let's delete this conversation. Once these are all done, I'm going to come back here and show you what all of these individual apps look like that have been built using Gemini 3 Pro High. So one thing whilst the agents are building these apps as well is that on the right hand side, sometimes you'll get this pop up here which says agent is running terminal commands. Do you want to run this command? And I can just accept it from here basically instead of in the left hand chat. This is basically this. I'm now following this agent here. And you get that view on the right hand side for exactly what the agent is doing. Gemini 3 Pro High has actually finished building this writing app. So it's going to do npm run dev to try it out. So let's do, it says check the walkthrough for details. So walkthrough of the Gemini 3 writing app here. So let's open this to see what it says. Features implemented. Here's all the features that it's implemented. So distraction-free composer, AI-powered drafting, tone controls, library management, export functionality. We do, and so let's get this going. So let's run this app so I can test. So let's get this app running locally, and then we can test what it looks like to see what Gemini 3 Pro has come back with just from this one prompt. Okay, so we have our localhost URL for this app that Gemini has built. So let's check it out here. It's going to basically take us to a local environment where our app is running, which is this one here, which doesn't look very great. So this is a little bit disappointing as the first impression for Gemini 3. The controls are working all right. These buttons have like a weird 3D effect on them. This is kind of supposed to be the distraction-free writing environment. This is far too wide. We can click draft with AI. It doesn't do anything. We can enter the topic or title here and then start writing here. But the fonts are slightly different. It's like a weird, yeah, it's not 100%. It's not particularly great, I'll be honest. We could maybe prompt this to improve the design of this. So let's go back to the agent actually here. And let's say, improve the design and UX of this app. I want something clean, modern, and light mode with plenty of white space. use modern sans serif fonts and don't use too many fonts. Keep the design professional and follow the attached reference. And we're just going to get a quick reference image just to see how well Gemini 3 Pro High does with reference images. So let's go to Dribble and let's do light mode writing UI. Let's just see what we've got here. I'm going to do something more like this writing app here. So let's copy this image. Let's go back to Antigravity. Let's paste this in here. And let's send that off to the agent here to try and improve the design of this writing app. Let's have a look at the local listings app. So this has also had an issue. The agent terminated due to error. I think this is just because so many people are trying to use this and it's just coming up against errors. So we're actually going to start a new agent here to try and build this app again. Let's start a new agent there. This other one, this also terminated due to error. So let's just try and build this again. This keeps doing this. It's not a great experience, especially if you're halfway through a change or a thread with an agent and it terminates due to error. It's built up a bunch of context and then you're not going to be able to keep that context if you set a new agent to do that task. So I think this is a pretty poor experience so far. The app output has not been amazing from Gemini 3 Pro High, but then maybe the prompt here wasn't a good enough prompt to kind of get started. I know it's only mocking the front end of this app, but let's see what it comes back with after we've done these changes and we've set these new agents to work on these separate apps here. So this agent has finished the redesign of this writing app based on that screenshot that I provided. It wasn't the best prompt, I'll be honest. I did say like just improve the design and UX. This app is very general. I would do a more specific prompt than that, to be honest. But actually, like based off of that first version of the app, I might even be tempted to just go back to the drawing board and start from scratch again. So this is the version of the app that it created, which is definitely looking a little bit better. You can select the tone here on the right hand side. It's a good starting point to like prototype, but it needs a lot more work here. I can add in the project title, click draft with AI. This button is like weirdly in the middle, and then I can like type in here. It's pretty much just a basic text editor. We don't even have pages for library or settings. So it's very much just doing this front end only kind of approach to the project here. If we go into Antigravity, I want to go to this writing app actual project and look through the task list that it's done. So apparently it's done all of these. So state management is done. It hasn't done the pages here. It says composer page, draft editor, library page. You can't actually use the library page here. This is all like a little bit underwhelming, if I'm honest. And I go back to Antigravity and we can check on the agents that are running for the other tasks here. And we've got agent terminated due to error again. And then we've got this one, which is actually still working, is still generating code. So let's check back on the quiz platform once we've got an updated version of this and we'll see what it's pulled together. For now, I'm not hugely impressed with the output from Antigravity. So as this app has been building, basically I've hit the model quota limit, and I hit the model quota limit for both Gemini 3 Pro High and Gemini 3 Pro Low. So they're obviously limiting it quite heavily for most users here. And I think this is kind of putting me off using Antigravity at the moment because the usage is pretty low. I'm not actually being able to get the most out of using this. So what I'm going to do to continue building these apps and show you what Gemini 3 Pro can do is I'm just going to jump over to AI Studio instead. Now, one thing to know about AI Studio is that I am not the biggest fan of Google's AI Studio, and that is because it's a really difficult path from my experience and from the experience of other people inside my school community who are building apps with AI tools like AI Studio. It's a really difficult path to go from an app built in AI Studio to getting it into GitHub is relatively easy, but then actually working with that code to build an app outside of AI Studio, because it's all connected to Google's APIs basically, can be quite difficult, and it doesn't use the same app structure as other AI app building tools. And so I have found it pretty difficult to actually go from AI Studio to a workable app that you can scale to lots of customers outside of Google AI Studio. So that's just something worth noting. Before we go in here, I'm going to select Gemini 3 Pro Preview here, which is the model that we're going to be using inside of AI Studio. Let's paste the same prompts in here that we were using in Antigravity and just start building these in AI Studio. I do think AI Studio is very much tailored to building prototypes, building internal tools for teams, and unfortunately, like a lot of other Google AI products, it kind of feels a little bit half-baked and like it could have been done a lot better. But these are tools that Google are building for the long term. They're going to evolve in their ecosystem. They're not necessarily the exact format that they have now, but because they're from Google, they want to keep them to the Google AI models. They want to keep them inside their ecosystem. They want to build tools that people are going to basically going to be able to use other Google services with. So I think if you're building an app, if you want to build an app from scratch that can actually scale to a lot of customers and turn into a business, I would not recommend using AI Studio. For now, I just want to see what is the quality of output that we're getting from Gemini 3 from these individual prompts. And once this is finished building this app, we'll come back here and have a look, because Antigravity just wasn't able to do it within Gemini 3 Pro usage limits. And the first app that we got from Antigravity actually was pretty bad. And whilst that is building in AI Studio, I'm also going to go over to Cursor and use Gemini 3 Pro in Cursor to build this app idea as well. So I'm going to use this to build the quiz app idea and set it to plan mode first with Gemini 3 Pro in Cursor, and then see how Cursor gets on with building this instead. So this is something different here. Cursor is actually asking us questions in plan mode here, and this may be just the difference between plan mode in Cursor and plan mode in Antigravity. So I'm going to answer these questions. So let's say that we're going to use, let's say I want to use convex.dev for the backend and database and authentication, and no payments. Now let's use OpenAI for the AI functionality. And that will let Cursor plan out how best to build this app even better. So it's now thinking through that. Let's jump back to AI Studio. So AI Studio has create a web app for quick local listings, snap a photo, design colorful, friendly, Pinterest style grid layout with large item photos. Let's see what Google AI Studio has done. So it says allow this app to request. So we want to use the camera here. This has done purple gradients, which is unfortunate. And that has not, it's kind of not really followed the color. I mean, it is kind of colorful, but it's just purple. It's friendly, I guess, but it's pretty standard like AI design. That didn't access the photo. And this has kind of done a broken like mobile app here with this tray down the bottom, and it's kind of created this outline here for like what it thinks is a mobile app. I said create a web app here, so it shouldn't have designed a mobile app. Not amazing output from Google AI Studio here, unfortunately. I'm not a massive fan of this. It's got the full screen view here, and then you go into this weird kind of like mobile app interface. Yeah, very strange. Let's jump over to Cursor and see if Cursor can come up with anything better using the Gemini 3 Pro model. We've got this quiz implementation platform on the right hand side in Cursor's agent view, which basically is going to do project initialization. And it's going to do that with Convex because we're using Convex for the backend and database, AI integration using OpenAI, core UI components, feature implementation, membership and paywall, which are going to do the UI only. It's not actually going to add payment functionality, which is exactly what I asked for. Polish and optimization. I'm happy with this. Let's build it. So this is now going to go through these 9 to-dos using Gemini 3 Pro. This will probably be a better indication of if Gemini 3 Pro is any good or not. And what I will say like about Antigravity while Cursor is building this project out here is that Antigravity, I feel like, is a proof of concept product. It's not really ready to be used by people who want to build genuine applications in a meaningful way yet. It's really Google taking a stab at a new type of user interface for coding AI tools, where you manage all of these different agents at a top level, and you don't necessarily, you're not working in an individual project with all of these code files. You're kind of managing all these different agents between multiple different projects. And I think that is super interesting. It's kind of abstracting the layer of thinking one level above the projects that you're working on. But to be honest, I actually feel like Cursor could do this with a few small changes to their interface as well. And Cursor actually has a much more robust and mature product here that just feels a lot easier to use, doesn't break as much, and actually just works for both developers and non-technical people, that I would absolutely still be using Cursor over Google Antigravity. We need to wait until Antigravity has matured a little bit more to see what that looks like as an actual professional use product. But for now, I think it's pretty much unusable in its current state, and I would absolutely stick with Cursor if you're trying to consider between the two options. That's just my personal take on using it for a little bit, but let's see what Cursor comes back with here after it's finished building this app for us. So Cursor 2.0 has worked through this full implementation plan here. It's done these 9 to-dos, basically initializing the project, defining convex schema, setting up authentication with convex, implementing the OpenAI action for the quiz generation, layout, homepage, quiz creation flow, all of this stuff, all done with Gemini 3 Pro inside of Cursor, but it's basically just been such an easier workflow working in Cursor, getting it, and it kind of worked for just 20 minutes building this entire app from scratch here. And this was just a much better experience compared to what I had in Antigravity. And this is why I will absolutely still be sticking with Cursor, at least for now, to build applications where I need to do anything a little bit more complex. And so let's run this locally and see what it looks like. So I run this locally and I am getting an error in this project, but I think we'll be able to fix this pretty straightforwardly just by going into our agent view here and then referencing the file that the error is occurring in. So that is occurring in convex client provider.tsx. We can just add this here at convex client provider.tsx, fix the error that is happening in this file. Here is the error message. And then we're just going to paste that error message in there and go back to the agent and get this running. This is after trying to do npm run dev and get convex running locally, just in a local environment. Let's get Cursor to fix this, and then we can finally see this app that Gemini 3 Pro has built for us. So I'm picking up recording here after about 20 minutes of trying to debug the code that Gemini 3 Pro wrote for this app. I went round and round in circles using Gemini 3 Pro to try and fix the issue, and then gave the same error with even less of a prompt to GPT 5.1 Codex High, and it just fixed it in one shot, basically. So I'm not massively impressed with Gemini 3 Pro so far from a coding point of view. I mean, it makes sense. The benchmark is actually lower than 4.5 and GPT 5.1 Codex. So it makes sense that maybe Gemini 3 Pro isn't quite as good here, but I also just find it to be relatively simplistic overall in its execution of these changes in this project. And what we've got here as well, if I go over to the actual app that we've created here, again, is like a really basic, pretty straightforward app that's like not particularly interesting at all. I mean, the direction that we gave in the prompt here, if I go all the way back to the first prompt, so design clean, bold typography, lightweight animations, SEO ready structure. I mean, that's a little bit of a, we maybe shouldn't have that in there, but clean, bold typography and lightweight animations. I mean, this is clean, but it's also pretty bare, and like I would just expect a little bit better output than that. Maybe the prompt needs to be better here, but I've seen demos with Gemini 3 Pro where they've put even less of a prompt in and it's given them great output. So maybe I'm not prompting it right, or maybe Gemini 3 Pro is just not the right model for me. Either way, there's been a bunch of things that it's got stuck on. Antigravity is kind of anticlimactic from my point of view, and I'd absolutely still recommend using Cursor for now. With that said, let's get into my final thoughts on Antigravity and Gemini 3 Pro just in general. So that was my partially frustrating review and breakdown of Antigravity and comparing it to Cursor, and also using Gemini 3 Pro to do coding tasks and build apps from scratch using one prompt. I found it pretty frustrating, to be honest, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's the prompts that I'm using, maybe it's just not the right direction for Gemini 3 Pro, and I'm inclined to think that maybe it's user error here. But maybe Antigravity is more of a product that's not quite ready to be used yet, and is more of a proof of concept of something that is potentially bigger and the right user experience for the long term, but right now it just doesn't work. There's too many issues with it, and for now I wouldn't recommend using it, especially if you're just getting started building apps with AI. And if you are building apps with AI, I do have a community helping people do that, where you can learn how to build and launch your app in just 21 days. And there's over 200 people in this community sharing their projects and learning from each other as they build apps with AI. And you can head over to school.com/AI apps to find out more about joining the community today. If you enjoyed the video, as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out massively. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Build great products. Build great products.